guys, welcome back to another episode of your Cooking with Night Diva Chef Doris T. And I hope you are enjoying my cooking videos because I'm enjoying making them. And here I have my ground beef that I couldn't cut into because it was partly frozen. I thought it was fully thawed out. The sides were soft, but in the middle was still frozen. So I had added another pack of my ground beef that was fully thawed out. And here, as you can see, I have it in the pot. And I'm just going to let it cook a little bit. I'm trying to break it up, but it was kind of tough. But the pot is hot, so it's going to thaw out the rest of the beef. Okay, here I'm adding salt. I know it may look like I'm sprinkling a lot of salt on there, but it's a lot of meat. And so it's going to balance out. It's not going to be salty at all. And so I'm just going to incorporate the meat and the seasoning all together, and once I get that stirred in, then I'm going to add my other seasonings. When I season my food, I make sure it's very flavorful. So, and then you don't have to go back and season it later. Like, after the food is cooked, you see people putting salt and pepper. No, you don't have to do that with mine. And it's not salty either. Don't think, oh, that's because it's salty. It's not. Okay, here I'm adding some black pepper. And I like to use McCormick's brand because it is very flavorful. And especially if you don't have fresh ingredients. Like, for instance, I didn't use my fresh garlic. So I used the McCormick's garlic brand. And it was just like having fresh garlic in there. It still was very good. Okay, here is the garlic powder I was talking about. So I'm just going to sprinkle that all over my beef. And then once I finish sprinkling it, make sure I get it all over. And then I'm just going to mix it in together. Now, usually I do add fresh ingredients in my sauce, especially my Italian sauce. But I didn't use it. Did you hear about the people coughing on the food, on the produce? That was crazy. So I wasn't about to buy no produce, at least not right now. So the dry ingredients just going to have to do for now. And like I said, the McCormick's brand, they dry ingredients, it's really potent. So you could taste the flavors. It really pops in your sauce. So anyway, I'm just sprinkling on some Italian seasoning. Get that all in my ground beef. And then I'm going to mix it in. And as you can see, I'm still having a little bit of a tough time getting everything mixed in because of the ground beef still being frozen, but it's melting. And next I'm going to add some crushed red pepper flakes to give it a little bit of a spice kick. Not too much, but just enough. Okay, now that I got my pepper flakes in there, I'm going to just stir it around, mix it in with all the other seasonings. And as you can see, this is dried basil that I'm just going to sprinkle all over the ground beef. And once I get it all over, I'm going to stir and mix it in. By this time, the meat has thawed out fully and it's easier for me to stir. As you can see, I'm just mixing it, trying to get it well incorporated into the beef so that way every inch of the beef is well seasoned. Okay, here I'm about to add the oregano. And again, just sprinkle it all over the beef. And once I get it all sprinkled on top of my meat, I'm going to mix it all in. I did mix it in, so now I'm going to add some parsley. And no, it's not McCormick's. This was on sale. This was only like, 60 something cents. So I said, let me get that. The way that I make my spaghetti sauce is basically the same way that I make my lasagna sauce, except my lasagna sauce is thicker. I do use tomato paste in my lasagna. Sometimes I use it in the spaghetti sauce too because it is a nice flavor to it. But also in my lasagna, I make sure to use fresh ingredients. So here I'm just stirring everything around, making sure everything is well incorporated. Make sure all the seasoning is all over the ground beef. Okay, my ground beef is all done, as you can see right there. And I did drain it. You can see no grease in it. I did drain it, so now I'm just going to add my diced tomatoes. And make sure when you add your diced tomatoes, it has a lot of water in the can. Just drain the water out of the can. And here I'm just going to mix it in. And once I get that all mixed in, I'm going to add my tomato sauce. Tomato sauce that I like to use ragu. And the type I like to use is tomato, garlic, and onion. It all ties in with the Italian theme. So here I'm just putting in 1 jar for now. As you can see, that's a lot of meat, so I'm going to need at least 3 to 4 jars of spaghetti sauce. So I'm just going to add the 1 jar, then mix it in. And after I add this 1 jar, after I mix it in, then I'm going to add the second and the third, and I think the fourth. Okay, let's just fast forward 3 jars later or 4 jars later. Here is the sauce. Now, doesn't that look great? You can see how rich and thick it is, and you can see the seasonings on top of it. You know this is going to be tasty. Speaking of tasty, I'm just going to taste a little bit and to make sure the flavor is right. And that was delicious. But it is a little bitter, so I'm going to add sugar. Okay, after I put the sugar in, now I'm just stirring it up. Make sure I get it well incorporated into all of the sauce. Oh, I almost forgot. I have to add the bay leaves. That gives it a nice flavor. So I'm just going to put 3 leaves in the sauce and just push it down. And then I'm going to cover it and just let it simmer. And then we could get to the pasta. So there goes 1. And make sure to fish out the bay leaves. Do not eat the bay leaf. Just fish it out once you finish cooking. Alrighty, I did get my bay leaf all stirred in. And then I put the lid on and we're going to let it simmer. Alright, here I have my pot of boiling water. And I already added the salt and the oil. And here I'm just going to add the pasta. And a few magic moments later, voila, here's my pasta, nice and soft. Not too soft, it's not overly cooked, but it is al dente. Okay, now to add the finishing touches, I'm just putting the sauce on top of the pasta. And after that, I'm just going to add a little bit of cheese. And we are all done. And this is my spaghettis. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Your Cooking with Night Diva Chef Doris T. And I hope to see you again next time.